Good morning, divers. Good morning, Shanda. Thank you for filling in for Rhonda.
Oh, I feel so bad for Rhonda. It's these allergies. I saw her yesterday online and she was suffering. I just feel so bad for her. So thank you for having me though.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. And I'm going to make a shout out. Melissa and Barbara, good morning. Rhonda's out today. She's got a pinched nerve in her little toe and she's in a lot of pain and I'm just making light of it. She's going to say, Oz, that's not what's wrong. But anyway, she gives you all her regards, and Shanda El Masta is here today with us to co-host, and we've got a really packed agenda once again. So is there anything that you want to say out of the gate about your upcoming show, like maybe the days?
Well, it looks like tentatively we are scheduled to launch on Thursday, the 17th, with the follow-up show on Sunday, The Accidental Activist. And then that'll be our normal routine after that, I think. I'm super excited. I've been helped by such amazing people. I got to say, I'm so impressed with Uphill Media and your guys' team. You're really training me up quick and fast, and I appreciate it. I'm excited. Thank you.
Well, hey, that's what we try and do, and I appreciate the kudos for Uphill Media, and we do love our friends at Uphill Media. I just hope I can live up to the task. One correction though, it is going to be premiering on Thursday the 14th at 7 p.m. and the 17th, which you're correct, it is premiering on the 17th again on Sunday, and we're calling that what?
My world premiere?
Yeah, your world premiere. Is it brunch? Is it the Accidental Activist brunch? And I said activist. Brunch.
Yeah, you did.
I think that's going to be, and there's going to be some extra stuff at that premiere that you're not going to get at Thursday night. So we're trying to reel you guys in to come to both of them and give us support. And I know we will. We'll get them in here. We love our Melissa and our Barbara and our Brahms, everybody out there. So I guess we should get to it. And before we jump on this one and beat it into the ground, I've got to say, I was looking through all this stuff, and every day as of late, it's the early bird that catches the worm. The problem is you've got a guy like me, a worm, trying to catch that Arrakis worm from the Dune world, that Frank Herbert novel. I mean, those worms were huge, and that's what our nasty news is on a regular basis. I guess we should start with the T-Rex of the Democratic Party, and that would be, you want to say a few words about this lovely individual, and then I'll play the soundbite?
Well, I'm not going to give it away, but I'll just say he's head of the Dixiecrats, and we all know him, and we all hate him, and I'll let you roll the clip.
Okay. Good old Jimmy C. Jimmy C., let's hear your words of wisdom. Tell me if you can hear this, Shanda.
Every election since he's been elected, we've won. Every poll, we're ahead. I mean, there's nothing but overwhelming evidence. And look what his campaign is doing. They're a pack of grifters. His campaign manager's got 2 condos, a Ferrari, a yacht, a Range Rover, and they're all just fleecing the campaign. It's just about making money, and they're going in and giving him fake polls. They're going to the White House. It was a story. I mean, this whole thing is just like a crumbling empire right before your eyes. Everybody is trying to take everything they can get on the way out, and they're trying to prop him up so they all can make money. It's amazing as you watch this unfold.
I think he's getting paid for that commercial by Polygrip. It looks like his teeth are ready to fly out of his face. Who else will he? I won't get into it. That's kind of mean because I'm right behind him. I've been losing teeth for the last 10 years, and it hasn't been because somebody's been punching me in the face. It's just one of those things. Make sure you floss, everybody, for God's sakes. James Carvel, the T-Rex of the Democratic Party back in the Clinton days. This guy is knocking the Trump campaign, who we don't even, and he's talking about them having yachts and people of privilege and wealth. what the hell is this guy talking about? He's what is he, 100 millionaire himself? What is this hypocrisy? Speak to that one, will you? I know you.
Honestly, Oz, I just woke up like 20 minutes ago, so please, everybody, bear with me. My brain's a little foggy. I'm trying to get the caffeine in there. But honestly, I hadn't seen this, and I thought he was describing Biden's campaign manager, because is there any difference between these corporate elite? They all take money, they all take payoffs. There's, I honestly thought he was talking about the Dems. How hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, this is really, this is hypocrisy at its worst. I got to say, these guys are flinging poo at each other, and they're in the same building drinking coffee together and enjoying the high life. I mean, I think Krystal mentioned it this morning, about economies and the two sets of classes we have. We have the poor working class that keeps everything going in our reality. We're doing, the restaurants, the movies, the McDonald's, but I mean, everybody, the teachers, the gas station attendants, all of us. And then she said the plutonomy. So we have the plutonomy, which is a small fraction of the meat sacks, the air gaspers on the earth are these plutocrats, that 1% that's been, they're referring to it as they have their own economy. And she gets into it a little bit when we dissect her radar. But I said, Krystal, you taught me a new word today, plutonomy. We have an economy, and then we have a plutonomy. So these two, they're separate worlds. They're worlds apart. This is that Hollywood elite want to be in that 1%. They aren't if they're not over $500 million. But the rest of them, are you kidding me? So let's get dirty this morning with our Wipey Award. The Wipey Award, I don't remember who got it last. It was Jimmy Dore but anyway, today we've got the Wipey Award, and the Wipey Award goes to the Democratic Party for this marvelous tweet. Let me read this up to you. The Democrats tweeted yesterday, with rising unemployment numbers, many are estimated to lose their health care coverage. Healthcare is a human right, says the Democratic Party, and we must work to ensure all Americans have access to quality, affordable health care. So let me get this straight. It's a human right, but you want to make sure people can get it and afford it. So you're selling them bullshit again. You want to speak to this one?
Uneffing believable is all I got to say. But I want to point out that the whole reason that the Democratic Party can get away with saying something like this, and you may have noticed during Biden's endorsement from Hillary Clinton that she said, we're on a path to universal health care. Someday we'll all have universal health care. But mind you, when I joined this fight 5 years ago, we were not allowed to say the words universal health care. We were not allowed to say the words single payer because we were talking affordable health care back then. We're going to extend Cobra. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. As effed up as it is, I'm glad that they're speaking at least some platitudes to us because we are starting to push them is what I see. But it's disgusting. They slap us in the face with this. They tell us, no, you can never have it. Don't even talk about it. And now they're the first ones to throw it out on the table as a platitude.
Yeah. I mean, what about, let me zoom in on this. What about access and affordable have anything to do with a human right? I mean, really? So again, this is just ridiculous. It makes no sense. I think back in 2016, Dorothy Gasquet was running for election, and her opponent in the primary was Carolyn Long. And Carolyn Long made a similar statement about access to affordable health care. This is in Washington State, you guys. I mean, we got them out here too. So Carolyn Long's the establishment tool choice to run in the 3rd Congressional District. And she said, access to affordable quality health care. And she coined, I think, the point of human right in there. And Dorothy Gasquet said, what does that even mean? So I'm going to say, what does this even mean? What are you trying to say? It's such a mixed message in favor of the medical insurance industry and all the buddies of the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. It's just ridiculous. So today's Wipey Award goes to the Democratic Party. And this is sponsored by the New York Slimes. so there we go once again with the most coveted Wipey Award in the Izzies and the Razzies. We have the Wipey. So now that we've got that one out of the way, let me knock it down. Do you want to finish the thought?
Well, I just want to point out, we got some good conversation going on in the chat this morning. I have access to a BMW and I have access to a bank vault, says Melissa. But does this mean that go into this bank vault, access, affordability? What's affordable for one person is not affordable for another necessarily. So we need to drop these words. These are not words that we need to be saying when we're fighting for healthcare, a human right coverage for every person in the United States, when every other first world country has had it and has had it for years.
Yeah, I mean, we are so far behind the curve, and we are the epitome of a third world country at this point.
That's what the UN says.
Yeah, and again, I invite anybody to change my mind or try. I don't know. I don't know. I got such a little mind. It should be easy to change. So whatever. I'm not fishing there, guys. It's really I don't have a high opinion of my mind. I guess we should move on to our fearless candidate, Joe Biden, because a lot has been in the press these days about how people aren't so happy with him. I'm not talking about the Republicans. I think they're thrilled to death with Joe Biden. No, it's the voting base for the Democratic Party, or those who think they may be voting for a Democratic candidate, but they don't have a very favorable view of Joe Biden, and the scuttlebutt is that they want to replace him real quick because this Tara Reid thing and Joe's record and everything else is kind of exploded. So let me get Ben Norton in here from the Gray Zone. This was an interview on Activism TV, and that's based out of Germany. So we have a German bot that wants people to hear the truth about things, or at least a thoughtful opinion. Here we go. Here's Ben Norton. I'll play a little bit of this.
Effectively, there are no significant political differences between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. I'm sorry for the people who are trying to convince themselves that it would be somehow categorically different. These two political leaders, and not just the leaders, but the movements around them, the institutional apparatuses around them, and the political parties that they're members of, there are very few political differences between them. Joe Biden, really quickly, let's review his record. He not only strongly supported the criminal Iraq war, he in fact whipped votes for Democratic members of Congress. That means inside the Congress, he as a Democrat was whipping other Democratic votes. He was trying to get their votes in support of George W. Bush's war, of the Republican president's war. He praised George W. Bush, calling him a great leader, and supported this war that killed 1 million Iraqis. We can never forget that. He was not just a tepid supporter. It was not just an error he made out of bad judgment. He was an active person who he actively supported this criminal crime against humanity. And that was part of a long trajectory, even before George W. Bush, even in the years of the 1990s when Bill Clinton was in power. Joe Biden strongly was pushing for U.S. military action against Saddam Hussein and Iraq. And again, I should keep in mind the irony here. We can't forget that Saddam Hussein himself came to power thanks to U.S. intervention in Iraq, thanks to U.S.-backed, CIA-backed coups in Iraq. And the CIA actually in the 1960s and 70s, and even through the 80s, was supporting Saddam Hussein. They gave Saddam Hussein a list of communists from the Iraqi Communist Party that he should purge and kill. And he did so in a very brutal bloodletting.
You know, I could just run this whole interview. I highly recommend that everybody go and check this out. It's on Activism TV Munich. It's out of Munich because we know the mainstream media in this country who they're sleeping with these days. And it's the Democratic establishment, elite, and Joe Biden himself. Anyway, can you speak to this while I bring up the difference chart here? Oh, my God.
You know, I'm so disgusted, but I can't just blame it on Bush and the right, because the Democrats drive the war machine just as fast and just as hard, if not harder than the Republicans, especially in these times. You know, we see Trump being a little bit hesitant to go into a lot of places, but it's the Democrats and the deep state. You know, people don't want to believe the deep state exists, but come on, you give an entity like the CIA. Eisenhower warned us of their power and what they could do. And they are literally running the show behind the scenes. You know, they're the ones that want these wars. They're the ones that want this. And it doesn't matter who's in the White House. They're going to drive it either way.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's, you know, and I support that deep state. You know, people, deep state, you know, you're tinfoil. No, it's just like we have a plutonomy that caters to the 1%, and we have an economy that tries to keep us starving folks out here. Well, I'm not starving, but I'm not eating as good as I should. Healthy. Keeping us in line. So that plutonomy is part of that war machine of our, you know, the Raytheons and all of them. And I'll say again, and I'm going to say it and say it and say it until everybody throws me off the show. We don't have a government. We have a world order that runs everything. Okay. And it's Raytheon, it's Amazon,
Boeing,
it's Monsanto, it's the pharmaceutical industry. It's capitalism gone wry. So get your fiddles out, because Rome's getting ready to burn. And I hope I can get to the segment with Krystals' breakdown on her radar. But, you know, it's just, again, how many times do we have to be told this? Everybody. I mean, you all get it. You're not crazy. You're not tinfoil hat people. You're following up. Sure, they're going to have anarchists out there trying to make everybody look like they're stupid. Have you got up and looked in the mirror like I do every day, and the first thing out of my mouth is "you're stupid"? No, it's not stupid. I might have been naive in my past, but I'm not going to keep going forward like that.
But you weren't naive. You were programmed. And, you know, most of us that came up in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, we had 4 or 5 channels that we watched every day. Our parents had watched those channels. They were trusted. ABC News. We trusted our anchormen not to lie to us, to tell us the truth of what they were seeing. And maybe it wasn't as bad, the propaganda back then, you know, but now that we have the internet, we have independent media, we can see the truth. We know the truth. It's a totally different era, ball game. Everything has changed. I don't think I was naive. I think I was intentionally brainwashed and programmed.
I think we all were. It's social conditioning, and it began it began way back in history, social conditioning. We
didn't start the fire.
Yeah, we didn't start it, but, you know, that's how the empires of the past conditioned the folks. You know, they kept them ignorant. They didn't educate them. They kept them in slavery. You know, they murdered populace that came out in protest. You know, the ones back in the day in the medieval times. Man, if you tried to organize a union, it was off with your head. Or
kind of sounds like nowadays.
Yeah,
huh?
I mean, nothing in that paradigm changes too much. But I digress. My point is here, you know, we have these people who are going to vote for Joe Biden because of hate Trump, but Trump TDS. Okay, fine, whatever. And this channel, the Daily Dive, I'm going to speak on behalf of the Daily Dive. We're not out to, you know, shore up Donald Trump. Are you effing kidding me? I mean, but, you know, when we see this sickeningly sweet pablum coming out from the mainstream media shoring up Joe Biden, it's kind of like, whoa. But let me just throw this up here. Here's the differences between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. On healthcare. Healthcare is not a human right. Donald Trump. Joe Biden. Healthcare is not a human right. Education is not a human right. Donald Trump. Education is not a human right. Joe Biden. Housing is not a human right. Joe Biden. Housing is, I mean, clean water is not a human right. Clean water is not. Yeah, I mean, they're identical on these. And people are going to say, oh, no, you've taken that all out of context. Bullshit. You go ahead and look at his historical record. Joe Biden, what is he, a 4-time loser? Well, he's going to be a 4-time loser. He ran for president in the 80s, and he made all these claims. I think we highlighted him yesterday. I mean, give me a break. The guy is an admitted liar. And he, I don't know. I don't know.
My favorite clip of Biden coming out of the 70s was when he said that he went to the elite and he asked them to pretty much buy him. And they said, no, you're too young. You're not ready yet.
Too young,
and he's
son.
bragging about that. He's bragging that he tried to sell his soul at 40 and they didn't want him yet.
Yeah, I mean, and he was kind of like gushing about it, thinking, yeah, I'm gonna come back and I'm going to see these guys again back in the day when I am old enough to get my allowance. So, this is Joe Biden again.
We pay for Joe Biden's health care. We pay for Donald Trump's health care. People that have everything, housing, the best of the housing, the best of the medicine, are the ones telling us that it is not a right.
Yeah, and the irony and the complete joke that is just, it should, when are people going to wake up? Well, guess what? They're starting to wake up, and they're still sticking it in our face because they see that, oh, they're powerless. We can just now overtly do it in the open, just like Bezos yesterday was talking about, oh, my company, the people who work for me, they don't need unions. We're going to take care of them. Bullshit. Okay, let's move on here. Like I said, this is an Iraqian worm that we're dealing with, the news. Saagar Enjeti, conservative voice on the Hill. Saagar's something, he's not really that conservative, at least in what he says, if he's doing a shtick. I agree with him a lot of the times, particularly his foreign views, like on China, bashing China for things. I think he needs to stick to the facts more, and hopefully he will, like he did here. Here's something that he did this morning on Ryzen, one of our favorites. He was talking about how Nancy Pelosi literally wants to bail out lobbyists in the next stimulus. And I think I got 2 clips out of this one, but let's hear a little bit of this, folks.
All right, Saagar, what's on your radar?
Well, yesterday, I took the Republican plan for the next phase of the so-called bailout to task, noting that the decision to push for a capital gains cut tax and modest infrastructure plan is a complete policy and political disaster. At the end, however, I said there is very little to hope because I was quite sure the Democratic Party, led by Nancy Pelosi, would come up with something just as stupid. And of course, I was right. Roll Call reports that the extent of the thinking is that expanding the Paycheck Protection Program and including access to small businesses. Now, obviously, I think that's great, and as long as they don't try to attach any stupid woke provisions like they did last time around, then all for it. But further down in the Roll Call story, it was revealed that the House Democratic bill will include allowing small business relief for 501c4 and 501c6 organizations. And as
Who are 501c3 and 501c4?
These are nonprofit and profit organizations. So say a PAC, a PAC. So we're going to give money to these lobbyists that we're trying to get rid of in the first damn place.
What the fuck?
But yet my friends with small businesses across the country that I'm talking to have applied for these emergency loans. And sorry, there's no money. You can't get, we gave it all to the big plurocracy.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is just insane. It's bad enough that our congressional, what are they? They're not leaders. They're tools. They're corporate tools. We have our corporate Congress. I need to stick with that, corporate Congress. They have these lobbyists come in and write these bills. And they don't even read them half the time, but it has been signed with the seal of approval of Monsanto, Bayer, and the pharmaceutical companies, Pfizer and Raytheon. So coming to you from, not your congressional rep, but from Raytheon. Anyway.
Or Big Health. Big Health loves to write these bills too.
Big Health. Let me give a quick shout out before I diatribe more. Jilly, good morning, Jilly. The Batman fan. Hey, Carlin was right. Human, good morning. Let me see. I saw Christine in here. I saw the Natural Progressive, and she said that Shonda was great on the Dames of Doom last night. And you were. I watched that. It was a great show. The Natural Progressive.
I love the Dames of Doom. They're amazing. Thank you, Christine, for having me on. It's such an insightful conversation. I think we all come from such different walks of life. We can have such a very vast conversation. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Sharon Abreu, our musical genius that writes our songs for our Town Hall series. on Uphill Media, the OR Wabacks, and Melissa again. Let me see. Did I miss anybody? If I did, just reach through that monitor and throttle me. Barbara. Hi, Barbara. Okay. Moving right along. Now I digress. There's another clip here from the same clip where Krystal gives her 3 cents on Pelosi literally wants to bail out the lobbyists in the next stimulus. I mean, Christ, is there money left? Didn't they give all the corporations all the money last time? So let's see what we got.
I was like, I know that there's not some grand proposal laying on the other side because this is what they put forward. They're talking about more money for the Paycheck Protection Program. That should not even be, that should be bipartisan to one of those things. It should just be auto-renewed and uncapped within Congress. Like, we shouldn't even be scrapping over the
There never should have been a cap to start with. It's insane.
In the first place. But that's the ground. So they're talking about Paycheck Protection Program, and like they say, want more money to go to minority-owned businesses. I think that's fine, as long as there's no like diversity, whatever programs attached to it. And they want now money for the lobbying organization. I mean, it's just too perfect. Like,
it is too perfect. It's too perfect. It's that vicious circle. It's that cascade effect. Once you give that kind of power to that entity, it's just going to keep growing and building until, guess what? It's going to pop. And my point by running this section of the clip, they were talking about there should have never been a cap on the PPE or the PPP protection plan. There shouldn't. But what Krystal and Sauger should have a segment on, in my opinion, there shouldn't be a goddamn cap on Social Security. Same kind of scenario. The caps on these things that help us, that help the working poor, our seniors, there should be no cap on that stuff. It's a no-brainer. What's your feeling on that?
It's a no-brainer. It's absolutely a no-brainer. But, you know, these packages, they always tell us, how are you going to pay for it, right? You know, we want Medicare for all. Well, how are you going to pay for that? You know, we want college free tuition. Oh, how are you going to pay for that? But yet, when they want to create money to pay their buddies and the corporate elite, boy, they just hit that print button, don't they?
Yeah, well, hey, let's give it all to the plutonomy. Now, I want to give our friend, whether he knows it or not, Jimmy Dore, a little shout out because he was talking about paying off our friends and buddies in Congress. Now, I don't know if any of you caught Jimmy's live stream yesterday, and Jimmy's not my God, he's my hero, okay? Jimmy has the cojones to say it like it is without fear of retribution because he doesn't give an F. But this is Nancy Pelosi, and Jimmy ran this clip yesterday too, and I'm going to run it in entirety. It's only 2 minutes, so hang out, guys. This demonstrates what you have as a leader of the House, representation-wise. Once again, she lost it, and now she's got it again. But check this out. This should blow your mind, or at least, for those who already know it. Yeah, you're right.
It's but one more example of good things happening to powerful members of Congress. Another is the access to initial public stock offerings, the opportunity to buy a new stock at insider prices just as it goes on the market. They can be incredibly lucrative and hard to get.
If you were a senator, Steve, and I gave you $10,000 cash, one or both of us is probably going to go to jail. But if I'm a corporate executive and you're a senator and I give you IPO shares in stock, and over the course of one day, that stock nets you $100,000, that's completely legal.
And former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and her husband had participated in at least 8 IPOs. One of those came in 2008 from Visa, just as a troublesome piece of legislation that would have hurt credit card companies began making its way through the House. Undisturbed by a potential conflict of interest, the Pelosi's purchased 5,000 shares of Visa at the initial price of $44. 2 days later, it was trading at $64. The credit card legislation never made it to the floor of the House. Congresswoman Pelosi also declined our request for an interview, but agreed to call on us if we attended her news conference.
Madam Leader, I wanted to ask you why you and your husband back in March of 2008 accepted and participated in a very large IPO deal from Visa at a time there was major legislation affecting the credit card companies making its way through the House. And did you consider that to be a conflict of interest?
Look at that face. Deer in a headlight.
I don't know what your point is of your question. Is there some point that you want to make with that?
What's the
Well,
point?
I guess what I'm asking is, do you think it's all right for a speaker to accept a very preferential and favorable stock deal?
Well, we didn't.
And you participated in the IPO.
Well, I have many
and at the time you were
investments, but I
Speaker
don't
of the
think-
House. You don't think it was a conflict of interest or had the appearance of a conflict of interest?
It only has appearance if you decide that you're going to have elaborate on a false premise. But it's not true, and that's that.
I don't understand what part's not true.
Yes, sir. That I would act upon an investment. Yes, sir.
Congresswoman Pelosi pointed out that the tough credit card legislation eventually passed, but it was 2 years later and was initiated in the Senate.
Yeah, 2 years later, so she didn't reap any dividends from that, did she? I mean, she bought at 44 and she collected at 64. 5,000 shares. How much? Do the math. That's a buttload of cash. So, that's what you have representing. And
correct me if I'm wrong, but don't we call this insider?
Well, yeah, I mean that's what's going on with LaFleur and all of the Congress now that dumped their stock before the stock market tanked. Not that the stock market means anything to us poor people, but a lot of them, and we found out somebody's brother-in-law dumped it too. So yeah, that was insider trading on steroids. And poor old Martha Stewart spent time in jail for that. But we still have these representatives alive and kicking now, baby, making lots of money on their power, their position, and their privilege. So again, this is what you got. Now, Shonda, what percentage of Congress are people who have a financial portfolio under, let's say, $500,000, under $500,000?
The who doesn't is the better question, I think.
Oh, I'm sorry. You mean it's like 90-10%, something like that? I mean, are you kidding me? Once again, we expect a representative government. What we have are a bunch of plutocrats representing their best interests, working for the corporations. The corporate Congress is what we have. And how are we going to change that, Shanda?
I don't know. Can we do it at the ballot box? I've tried for the last 5 years, let's replace the Congress. I jumped on board with brand new Congress full-fledged in 2016 because, hey, this is only we had 511 seats we needed to replace. That's doable, right? We can fix this, but it's not doable. We cannot get to those seats. They are bought and paid for. So I'm sorry. I'm not of the mentality that we can fix anything at the ballot box at this time.
Yeah, we're gonna have to switch our game up, our survival quest up, because this dystopian world that we're living in today, yesterday, it ain't gonna be yesterday once more. It isn't gonna be that way. Things are changing. I was reading articles for the past few days about what's not gonna be the same at McDonald's or on airline flights. And I looked at it like, okay, so no hot towels, no peanuts, and no reusable pillows, no nothing on airline flights anymore because of the pandemic. And McDonald's, of course, they're not going to have those scuzzy play places open anymore. And they're going to have social distancing or dividers in their seating at McDonald's. I mean, this is, some people might think about, well, that's not so bad. They're protecting our safety. No, I look at it from the standpoint of all these people that produce those products, the snacks, the employees that making, things like that. And believe me, building dividers and taking things away is not going to help, commerce and jobs. And with that, and I know the natural progressive would say, but wait a minute, Oz, that's a good thing. We're not, you're right. People need to focus on the here and now, permaculture, gardening, sustainability, energy conservation, and that's the good thing. So we've got to get the mind of people bent that direction, and I know you've got some stuff to say about that, Shanda. Let's hear it.
Well, first I want to ask, did you see the Orwellian clip of the convenience store in Oregon yesterday that you have to have, it has a facial recognition software bubble, that you have to stand in front of the door and there's a red light and a green light, and the facial recognition software catches you and you either get an okay and the door opens and you can go into the convenience store to buy your pack of cigarettes or your Coca-Cola, or you get a red light. Sorry, go away.
So what is that?
This?
Is that a biometric scanner?
It must be, but it was shocking. I think it's horrifying. I think this is the new Orwellian world that we're going to be moving into. So it's going to be much more than just dividers and, staying 6 feet away from people. It's scary, Oz. It's scary what's coming.
1984. Oh, my God in heaven. I didn't see that story. I think Amber needs to get into that one, slice it up with Brand New Future. Amber, get with Shonda. We need to have a feature on that story because, yes. So that being said, biometric scanners entering a store? Are you kidding me? Where's that information going to go? I mean, they're tracking you right now with your smartphone, and, it's pretty smart. They don't have to put that chip in your hand or in your neck or in your temple.
Well, no, you got it in your credit card. I was at Walmart working yesterday. I always say when I go to Walmart, I work. And I don't support Walmart. I don't like Walmart, but I live very small and rural. And Walmart has killed every single small mom and pop that we had in the area. So being poor, I got two choices. I can go to Costco or I can go to Walmart in my little town. So I end up going to Walmart because I don't need 50,000 gallons of mayonnaise. But when I go to Walmart, there is no cashiers working. There's a bunch of them standing out front, talking to people and managing. I clock in and ring up my own cart of groceries every time I go to Walmart. And so, these jobs that they're phasing out, they're making us do, but we're doing them for free.
Yeah.
And then they're tracking us by our credit card that we're shoving into the machine. They know everything we bought. They know how much we bought. They knew what time we were out.
Yeah, you want to be a patriot and fight for your privacy and your freedom and your rights. Well, guess what? You've been giving it away for years. I do a good sheep, don't I? I miss my calling. I should have been born a sheep. I don't know.
You were, according to them.
Yeah, well, I guess so. I want to act like I'm a bull with some big, but anyway, I'm just not. So yeah, I get it, and that's frightening. And we've had conversations about AI across the social media network forever. This is AI on steroids. What you described. The next thing you know, it's going to be human-like drones. It's going to be androids. It's going to be. We're going to be. What was that movie that Will Smith made? That robot movie where robots were. iRobot. Oh my God, we're not decades away from that. I believe we're years away from that, and under maybe a decade. I think they've already got some going on. Anyway, I digress, and we're running long again. Thank you again, Shanda, for coming on. We're having a blast. Good conversation going on in the group. Kendra Heidi Kemp Young. Hey, Kendra, welcome. And Human and Melissa. Melissa, I caught your comment about Jimmy Dore. I understand he's been gutting Bernie and beating up on AOC. I know, I know. But still, aside from that, the other information he brings, I got to credit him with. We all have our tastes. And again, Jimmy Dore to me is the modern day Lenny Bruce. Some people are going to love him. Some people are going to like him. Some people are going to hate him, or some people can't stand him. Let me move on. Crystal Ball. This is our last story of the day. Again, giant worm to gobble down. Crystal Ball did her radar this morning, and I really kind of got into the radar because she had a lot to say in a very small time period. Let me start this off, Shanda, so you can kind of hear a little bit of it, and then I'll switch. And then we're going to come back to it because I think she makes some great points later on.
On your radar.
Well, a while back, this screenshot of CNBC went viral for its graphic display of the seemingly psychopathic disconnect between the economic fixations of our elites and the reality of conditions for ordinary Americans. Millions upon millions file for unemployment. The stock market skyrockets. It is a dynamic that has come to typify this crisis, revealing just how unmoored the real economy, the real conditions that actually affect people's lives are from the fake economy of speculators and cable news business fandom. Just think about this. The Dow and the S&P 500 just notched their best April since 1938. It was the best month for the stock market since 1987. Meanwhile, more than 30 million Americans have filed for unemployment. 40% of small businesses tell the Chamber of Commerce they will have to close their doors permanently over the next few months. Queues for food banks look like this.
That's
as Americans who never
scary.
imagined themselves not having enough to eat arrived, having no other options. According to a new study, nearly 1 in 5 children
Wrong
in America
slide.
are going
Wrong
hungry
clip.
right now. Now, those of you who are parents
That's
know that
not
you
me.
will do absolutely everything to make sure that your kids have enough to eat, even, of course, if that means missing meals yourself. So if the kids aren't getting enough, you know that the situation in the household is truly dire. In fact, another survey confirms that. A full 35% of households with kids do not have enough food. Those numbers are way up from the worst of the Great Recession, and we are nowhere near the end of this thing.
Now that should be frightening for everybody. What do you think, Shanda?
I think this is absolutely frightening, very frightening. It speaks to stuff in their pockets, and we're starving. But, I raised 3 kids in the food bank lines. I didn't sit on welfare. I worked minimum wage jobs. You couldn't sit on welfare. They made the laws to where you had to get out. But our food bank, our local food banks are over capacity. They're seeing more patrons. I think we saw a 300 people jump in our little tiny town in the last 3 months. People are scared to volunteer. They don't want to go get sick. So there's less workers helping these people, and there's more demand. And now we're seeing food shortages. So I doubt people are donating like they used to. I know I'm kind of food hoarding. I think probably everybody is. And so that means less for our food banks. And boy, we're not going to see soup kitchen lines like we saw in the 30s, I don't think. Back then there was more of a sense of community. We don't have that sense of community anymore. Who's going to feed these people?
Yeah, who is going to feed these people? And that brings me to the point of, you know what? If you Richies out there, those of the plutonomy who are breaking this off in our eye socket on a daily basis, didn't learn anything from history. When you don't get your masses fed, there will be an uprising. And you can laugh at me all day long. But guess what? When I've got a child or children that I can't feed, I'm going to get really pissed off. And you know why? A guy in the year 2020 pissed off, a mother, a father really pissed off, who has been raised through the 60s, the 70s, the happy days, who have had all the stuff because of social conditioning, who have just shirked off and thrown away things at our leisure because that's how we were conditioned to do it. After having all that wealth, I'll call it wealth and privilege that we had, and now you're starting to tighten up on the food chain and people are starving and out of work and they can't do that. You think the 30s were a problem for the rich? You just wait till what you've lit on fire right now, because people who had the good life, so-called good life, the working poor, you didn't give them enough crumbs from the table. They're going to rise up and the guillotines are going to fly. And I'm not advocating that in any sense of the meaning. But you know what happens when that shit happens. So again,
do you happen to see the clip of the hair salon owner in Houston who reopened after 2 months of being closed? And
tell us about that. Tell us about that.
Okay, so Republican, of course, she's part of this whole reopen movement. But here's the thing. She shut her salon down in February, I believe. Single, or I don't know if she's a single mom, but I know she's got kids and this is her only source of income. So after 2 months of being shut down, on April 24th, she said, I'm opening back up. I can't feed my kids. I can't pay my bills. I'm going to lose everything if I don't open back up. So they wrote her a citation. She said, okay, whatever, fine, bring it to me. I'm going to stay open. So they arrested her. They arrested her. She went before a judge yesterday or the day before who went to Harvard. This man went to Harvard, so obviously he's a part of the elite class, because you don't get into Harvard unless you're a part of the elite class. And he shamed her. He said, shame on you for not taking into consideration your community, your fellow man. You endangered them. And she said, no, my children are starving and I am not going to be ashamed because I want to feed my kids. I'm torn between this. I understand where she's coming from. I understand her need to save her business, to feed her kids, to save her family. But I understand wanting to conform and take care of your community. So, who was in the wrong on this? I find the whole situation heartbreaking.
Well, yeah. I mean, a lot in our community is really down on people who want to go back to work. But I'm very honest about it. I'm looking at both sides of this thing, like you just did. I don't care what your political ideology. A hungry tummy is going to make your political ideology go in the toilet. And people say, oh, they're not hungry. They can always get food. Did you see the damn food lines? Come on, give me a break.
Yeah.
That's
when you got hungry kids and you're a mama, you get that heartbreak that drives you. You don't care. You got to protect your babies.
Yeah. And it's been said over and over and over again. A lot of people can't handle a $400 emergency. Guess what? That woman probably didn't have Jack come in for how long? 2 months?
2 months.
2 months. Okay. And did she get her $1,200 stimulus check?
She's probably still waiting for it like most of America.
Okay. So how about this, Shanda? Did she get the payroll protection, or was she eligible for a small business loan? I doubt it. Because
right, and she's considered gig work, I think, because of the nature of hairdressing.
Yeah. And you know what? Hairdressing, barbers, entertainment, waitresses. It was a good living in its day, and it still, would be if we weren't going through a pandemic thing. And I'm not saying hundreds of thousands a year. I'm saying you can get by without having how American of you, having 3 jobs and going to the food bank, to support. Bullshit. I mean, I am so in the corner of that person. Chuck the Democrat, Republican, conservative, whatever. The bottom line for her was food on the table for the family. And, to all of us who are advocating permaculture and gardens, sure, okay, I'm going to say, hey, lady, you got your garden going? She probably does. I'm going to give her that. She's not just some bimbo that goes and does hair because she likes to. I mean, this is a deal that, it's reality incarnate. But anyway,
but yet they're letting prisoners out of prison in Houston for that have much worse offenses than opening their business back up.
So let's give this lady a citation and make life that much more miserable for her and her family. And meanwhile, let's give the corporations trillions of dollars in stimulus. When they don't even need it, the cruise ship industry, everything else. And I don't want to get into that argument, but it's true.
Hypocrisy at its greatest is what I see.
Hypocrisy is great.
And it doesn't matter if she's Republican or Democrat. I just see a mom with a business that's failing and kids that need fed.
Absolutely. And so let me finish off this clip and then we'll get headed out because we're already at 47. Oh my God, this is going to be an hour show today. I'm so sorry, Shanda. Okay, here we go.
To put it pretty simply, our economy is a sham. It's been a sham. And this crisis has only made that abundantly obvious for all to see. Let's start with the mythology of all the risk that these great lords and ladies, titans of industry, sophisticated shareholders are all taking. All that risk that justifies the multi-millions and billions that are laid at the feet of these masters of the universe. Give me a break. We all know the truth. With this massive corporate bailout, the government has once again socialized all of the risk and privatized all of the gains. Too big to fail is the law of the land. And remember, 91 of the Fortune 500 didn't even pay taxes last year after the big Trump corporate giveaway tax cut. That is how little our corporate-owned government expects and demands from them. Has it ever been more obvious that they have captured our government and that the idea of some free market is a total fraud? The market doesn't care that tens of thousands of Americans are dying and millions being put on the unemployment rolls. All it cares about is that this government has once again proven its absolute fealty to the whims and desires of corporate America. Trump and Mitch and Nancy and Chuck have allowed them to rest easy in the knowledge that they will have all of their needs taken care of, so no need to worry.
Bingo! Drop the mic again. Shanda?
Yeah, when she names them all off and they're all in one group, that's the whole point. That's the whole point. It's one big club and we're not a part of it.
Baby, we are not in that club. Carlin knew. Oh, of course.
Carlin knew. Gosh, he did know, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He was the modern day prophet of his time. I got to tell you, I think Krystal nailed it again. This show is designed. It's an evolution. We are sitting together in the TV room, watching different clips from around social media and having the discussion. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not pulling in these internet personalities to boost this show. I don't give a shit. What I want to do is have a topic to talk about with our great friends here, Jilly, Human, Melissa, Brom, Jeffrey. I mean, we need this. We need to analyze this stuff because you know what? We don't have time to waste on, playing kitsy cozy with everybody else. So last word on this, I want to say The Hill, from a technical standpoint, they must have had a big party last night because they set the premiere time for 5:30 this morning, 2 hours earlier. They put the wrong graphic up in the middle of Krystals' radar this morning, and there was something else that they messed up. But somebody called in sick or something, but they usually do a really fine job is what I'm saying. But it's kind of nice seeing them mess up because they're kind of at my level there. So thank you, Hill, for showing your stuff. Shonda, your last word on the news for today?
Well, I'm going to go catch up on the news for today, but thank you so much for including me in these conversations. I really enjoy coming on, telling my opinion.
Yeah, it's fun having all of you come on the show, and Rhonda and Amber and Shenda and Christine, the natural progressive. And remember, we have got the accidental activist with Shanda Masta next week. We've had some fun production meetings and got a lot done thanks to our production team, Franklin, Amber, myself, Rhonda, and Shenda. We're really getting going. If you guys are interested in doing a showrunner, let's get together. Melissa, Jelly, you want to do a show? Jeffrey Denton, you want to do a show? You genius, you. So anyway, we've beat all that news into the ground. I don't think we're going to squeeze any more out of those lemons. What do you think?
I saw some interesting comments in the chat that I could speak to, but I could always speak to something.
Yeah, me too. I definitely could myself. I want to say, going in, our movie pick for today is The Big Lebowski. Has anybody ever seen that movie? I think I have. Can somebody tell me what the nickname of that sweater is? I don't know what that is. I know the guy's name is the Dude, right? I don't know what the name of the sweater is, but I think we have a really Big Lebowski fan at Uphill Media. I can't remember that guy's name. That's the Big Lebowski fan, but he's got a cool sweater like that. And anyway, Big Lebowski, 1998. Jeff Bridges, John Goodman, Julianne Moore. Let's watch that clip, and then I'll spew a little bit more about it here. Let me get it focused here on the screen. Here we go. The Big Lebowski. Great movie. Great movie.
Let me explain something to you. I am not Mr. Lebowski. I'm the Dude. That or his dudeness or Duder or, El Duderino if you're not into the whole brevity thing.
Are you employed, Mr. Lebowski?
Employed?
Do you like sex, Mr. Lebowski?
Is this your only ID? You got the wrong guy. I'm the Dude.
Your name's Lebowski.
Jeff Lebowski, the other Lebowski, the millionaire. I received this ransom note this morning.
This is a bummer, man.
They want you to take the money and act as courier.
What do you mean, man? What the hell is this?
My dirty undies, dude. The whites.
Let's take that hill.
Why should we settle for 20 grand when we can keep the entire million?
I know you're mixed up in all this.
Playing one side against the other in bed with everybody.
Blow on them.
Huh?
Fabulous stuff. What?
Who's sitting on $1 million?
We want some money.
Sitting in the trunk of our car.
Where is my damn money?
Say, dude, where is your car?
Who's got your undies, Walter?
This is a very complicated case, Maud. A lot of ins, a lot of outs.
Is this your homework, Larry?
And I would like my undies back.
A lot of strands to keep in my head, man.
Whoa! Hey, careful, man. There's a beverage here, huh?
I like your style, dude.
I have no choice but to tell these bums to do whatever is necessary to recover their money from you.
They were Nazis, dude?
They were nihilists, man. They kept saying they believed in nothing. loser, you know, a deadbeat.
Well, aren't you?
Well, yeah.
You cannot drag this negative energy into the tournament.
Jeffrey,
On.
love me.
That's my robe.
I'm throwing rocks tonight.
It don't matter to Jesus. This could be a lot more complex. I mean, it's not just, it might not be just such a simple, you know?
Everything in life is a negotiation.
You know, it's not so simple. Barbara Bartleson said, "It's the dude sweater, Oz." I think our friend John Ellis has a dude sweater that I think he wears it as his jammies or whoopee or whatever, but that's his signature, is the dude sweater. The Big Lebowski, excellent movie, I gotta say. And you saw that, right? You look like you were having a good time there, Shanda.
You know, I love the Big Lebowski. I think it's one of the Coen brothers. Brilliant. You know, everything they do, I think, is pretty brilliant. And then you have so many great actors in it. Steve Buscemi has always been a favorite of mine. John Goodman, you know, but the internet would be a boring place without all of the Big Lebowski memes that we see. Boy, there's been some great ones generated.
Yeah, I think so. And again, we're having a blast doing this show. Really enjoy the hosts that we bring on. Amber, Shanda, Rhonda, Christine, and anybody else that's up for co-hosting this show. Please join us. Now, going out in honor of Thirsty Thursday and the Big Lebowski, we have a song, and it's a bootleg Creedence song, Run Through the Jungle. You know, ironically, Shanda got a preview of that, not knowing she was going to be co-hosting this thing. You want to say a little bit about this song and the pocket fiddle?
Oh, it's un-American to not like Creedence. You know, I don't care what side of the aisle you think you're standing on. Everybody loves Creedence. This is a great find, Oz.
Well,
good way to start our day.
Thank you. I hope everybody enjoys it as much as I did, and I hope everybody enjoys you being on the show today as much as I did. Thank you so much, and everybody have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow for Caddyshack Friday. We're going to be an hour. I think, Shanda, you're going to be on with Amber tomorrow, aren't you? Or Amber's in transit. She may not be here. We might get somebody else on, and hopefully Rhonda will be back, or it'll be you and me. But again, everybody have a great day. Say bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Tell me if you can hear this when it kicks up. I want to make sure everybody hears this because it's so cool. And that pocket fiddle, man, that pocket fiddle's great.
John.